Coming up on Golden Image Music, have you ever noticed that some live albums give you the chills while others fall flat?
Or why certain bands sound even better live than in the studio?
The only prescription is more cowbell.
Stay tuned to find out which live albums surpass their studio counterparts and which ones don't quite make the grade.
And we will show you some of our picks for bands that shine in both.
And for our final thought segment, we're going to have a little fun performing a tier ranking on where we think the albums we talk about today rank against each other.
Welcome back to Golden Image Music. I'm Larry.
And I'm Todd. And today we have a fun topic: live versus studio albums, and which live albums truly shine, and which ones don't quite live up to the albums produced in a recording studio.
First, let's define what we mean by live albums and studio albums.
Right. As many of you already know, a studio album is normally recorded in a controlled environment, like a commercial or high-end home recording studio. This allows artists and producers to perfect the performance.
As opposed to a live album, which is recorded live during a performance, capturing the energy, the crowd, and the excitement of being at a live concert.
Yeah. But studio albums can sometimes feel overproduced, and sometimes they really are overproduced and they lack that raw energy of a live performance. I'm sure that many of you, and I know us, we can name a few albums that have been overproduced to a point where it's nearly impossible to reproduce it on stage live. You would have to have backing tracks.
Now, on the downside, live albums can suffer from imperfect sound quality and the unpredictability of live performances, depending on the band's skill levels. Now, let's talk about bands whose live albums are considered better than their studio albums.
Yeah, Lair. One great example, and I think everybody's seen this, not in the dollar bin anymore. A little harder to get a hold of this. There's some really good pressings of this. Peter Frampton and Frampton Comes Alive. This is a fantastic album. It was recorded over several shows during the height of his career in 1976, and they used several high-end mobile trucks when they recorded. And here's the interesting thing: it was mixed at Electric Lady Studios, which was Jimi Hendrix's studio. And I would have to say, on this album, if it wasn't for this album, I don't think Peter Frampton would be as famous as he is today. Even the singles they sent out didn't come from his studio albums. They came from this live album. Show Me the Way, Baby I Love Your Way. I mean, this album was awesome in 1976 and a must-have for anybody who loves Peter Frampton.
Another example of this is Jackson Browne's Running on Empty. And this album is often praised as a terrific recording of a live album. I'm not going to say a live concert. I'm going to say a live album, because this album is incredibly unique how it was recorded. Each of the cuts were recorded in different ways and in different places. So one cut was recorded on their tour bus. One cut was recorded in their hotel room. Another cut was recorded on stage, but they were all different. And of course, the album explains in the linear notes where they were each recorded. I've never heard of another live recording recorded in such a crazy manner like this, but it works.
Fantastic. Live, like you said, not a live show, but live performances, and a great album.
The other band that historically you think of as a live band, and studio not so much, is the Grateful Dead. And the Grateful Dead, you listen to Grateful Dead heads or Deadheads or Grateful Dead fans, and they'll always say, oh, you got to hear them live. You got to hear them live. And their studio albums would come out one after another, and they were never much of a success for the most part. But live, everybody said that's where they shone. And there's a couple things that I would mention. Europe 72, which is a fantastic intro, I think, to the Grateful Dead. And then something really interesting is Dick's Picks series, the series of Dick's Picks. And they have Dick's Picks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't even know how many they go up to, but they just keep recording these over and over in different cities, in different ways, different concerts, different years, and they just keep releasing them. The recording quality of them does vary, of course, but they're terrific. And when you get a hold of a few that are good, they're fantastic to listen to.
So, Lair, on the flip side, there are live albums that didn't quite capture the magic. One example here is Led Zeppelin. The song remains the same. It has its moments, but it didn't resonate as well as their studio recordings. It was recorded over 3 nights at Madison Square Gardens, and surprisingly, it was recorded by Eddie Kramer, of Jimi Hendrix fame, was the producer of Jimi Hendrix. And it was also mixed at Electric Lady Studios, just like the Frampton Comes Alive. The problem was not necessarily the sound quality, but the performance was just not good. I don't know if they were tired. I think they, I've read some things where they were tired or burned out, or they were on the end of their tour, and they just did not perform very well. And the sound, as far as coming from the instruments, not good. The movie kind of was not good either. I saw the movie in the late 70s. It was a double feature at the theater with Jimmy Plays Berkeley, and I will tell you what, Jimmy Plays Berkeley beat Led Zeppelin out hands down, and I was in after that.
All right. Similarly, Todd, some live albums may sound good, but did they cheat? Eagles Live, famous Eagles live album, and Kiss Alive. These 2 albums are the most overdubbed live albums ever recorded. The Eagles live album, they said they re-recorded, overdubbed over the original live recording, the guitar parts, the vocals, the instrumental. I mean, what was there? What's left that was really live? It wasn't a live album. It was really a studio album with applause mixed in there.
Yeah, I mean, that's cheating. Cheating.
And Kiss Alive, they did the same thing. And when Paul Stanley was recently asked about that, he said, yeah, we did that. He didn't even try to lie. He said, yeah, we did that. Who wants to hear my guitar out of tune a little bit? Or if somebody plays a tune, a little bit wrong, he goes, that's not what the fans want. They want to hear it correct. So cheaters.
Yeah. I don't know if I agree with that though, right? I think that the nuances and the little mistakes, even if they are mistakes or whatever, I mean, as long as they get fixed and they're not throughout the entire performance, I kind of like that.
Hearing it live, the way they played it, even if there's a mistake here or this there, that gives it such charm. To see how the band reacts and responds to that. That's what live is. Electric Light Orchestra, I think, is a very interesting thing here because Jeff Lynne, Electric Light Orchestra had very complex arrangements and whatnot with their music. And Jeff Lynne hated playing live, despised it, because he never felt like he was capable of recreating the sound from their studio into a live concert. And every concert he was upset at the end because he didn't feel like they delivered the sound that was the songs. And he wanted to stop the band from touring and created a little rebellion, a mini rebellion. Now, there's one other live album that fell short in my book, Todd, and I know you and I have talked about it. It's John Lennon live in New York with the Plastic Ono Band.
Oh, yeah.
I bought this album. I bought it on CD in Strawberry's music store in Philadelphia. And I'm listening to the album on the way home, and all of a sudden, Yoko Ono starts freaking, well, she called it singing. I call it screaming and screeching. And as it's going on, I'm like, what the hell's going on here? And all of a sudden, my rear speaker goes, and I'm like, what? And I realized Yoko Ono cracked my speaker.
The crack is Sparkomatic, Lair.
I turned the car around. I went back to Strawberry Sparkomatic. And I walked in. I said, I would like my money back. And they're like, well, we don't give money backs for CDs. I said, Yoko Ono screeched on whatever track it was, and she broke my rear speaker. They gave me my money back, no questions asked.
Lair, before we talk about some examples of more live stuff, I would like to ask the viewing audience a favor. Please subscribe to our channel. All you have to do is click the subscribe button below the video.
And it doesn't cost nothing, even though it's called subscribe. It just means you want to keep track of when we release, content. So don't worry, we're not going to spam you. You're not getting on an email list of anything. We're not going to visit your house and break in your safe. Just do it. It really will help you keep up with stuff.
That's right, Larry. And over 80% of the viewers are not subscribed to our channel. So by doing it, it shows YouTube that you care as much as we do about our work and you, our viewers.
Then we have bands that have excelled in both live and studio settings.
Yeah, that's right. And one of those is Rush. I mean, I know I'm a Rush fan, maybe a nut about Rush, but I will tell you, this is an excellent example. Their studio albums always sounded consistently good, just like their live albums, and they've never disappointed. Whether you're a Rush fan or not, a great Rush album to listen to for quality sound and performance is Exit Stage Left. And I will tell you, it's got all the hits on it. Red Barchetta, Xanadu, going into Tom Sawyer. I mean, all the songs that you're used to hearing with Rush. This is a must-have album. This was a German pressing, and it's really, really a good album. I put this on the turntable all the time because it is excellent.
Another band that nailed both formats was Little Feat. They had a classic studio album like Feet Don't Fail Me Now, and they also had a powerful live album, Waiting for Columbus. I also have some examples of other bands that really knocked it out of the park, both live and in the studios. But there's a ton of them. So I'm just going to go through a couple that I think are kind of interesting. Foghat Live. This, in my opinion, is the peak of Foghat. This is their best album, studio, live, schmo, whatever. This particular CD release is also a fully remastered audio version of it. Has all sorts of extras in there. It was remastered by Nick Jameson, their great bass player also. Another one, which is going to surprise you all, is Linda Ronstadt, Live at Hollywood. This just came out, yeah. Fans of Linda Ronstadt, who was wonderful in the 70s and 80s, she never had a live album until they released this live recording of her. I'm going to say, well, boy, I'm getting old. I think they released this maybe 10 years ago or less. But it's a fantastic live album. If you even like Linda Ronstadt a little, you must have this. She actually sings one song totally in Spanish. Her voice is so lovely. It doesn't matter what language she's singing in. It's fantastic. And she has a great backing band. By the way, her first backing band was the Eagles. That's how they formed the Eagles, by the way.
I remember
they were her backing.
Pretty cool.
Band. Cannonball Adderley in Europe. Once again, you can't go wrong with Cannonball Adderley, live, studio, or anything. But live, he really takes it another notch up. This particular album has Julian on saxophone, his brother Nat on cornet, Yusuf Lateef on tenor saxophone, flute, and oboe, and I know I'm going to mess the pronunciation up, Joe Zawinul on piano, Sam Jones on bass, and Louis Hayes on drums. I mean, you got a guy that went and formed Weather Report here. You got Yusuf Lateef and both Adderleys on here. Fantastic. King Crimson. This is one of my favorite lives of them. This is released just a couple years ago, as a matter of fact, and it's in the Court of the Crimson King. The great thing about this release is it comes with 3 live CDs, a Blu-ray, a DVD documentary, all in this nice little package. So not only are you getting the great music that they performed live, but you're actually getting the DVD. You could pop it in your DVD player and watch the concert.
Yeah, and I think this is the one that you gave me. You gave me a double CD set of that same concert.
I think it was
absolutely fantastic. You are right. Very well done.
Thank you. Some of the others I just want to give a honorable mention to because Allman Brothers, right? The Deep Purple, the live in Japan as a classic. Some people say it's the best recorded live album ever. Dire Straits, Alchemy, just a wonderful, wonderful, awesome live album. Government Mule. I don't know. I think more and more people are knowing who Government Mule is. They still are underrated. Warren Haynes, their lead singer and guitarist, also is in the new iteration of the Allman Brothers. So he's carrying both torches, keeping that alive. And the last one I'll just mention real quickly is the Jay Giles Band. One of my favorite live albums by them is Blow Your Face Out. And if you've ever listened to the Jay Giles Band, especially live, you know that they have one of the best rock and roll harpists out there. And by harpist, I mean harmonica. And his name is Magic Dick, which is always a great name to have on stage.
Yeah, hey, presenting Magic Dick.
And now for the solo, Magic Dick.
And Larry, I just wanted to add that many of the great live albums we've discussed so far are not recorded normally on the same night or during the same performance. They're usually recorded over many shows, over several nights, and then they pick the best songs from each show. And it's true for most of the ones we're covering today. That's why they're probably, seem flawless. There are some exceptions, though, especially with some great live jazz recordings, or this CCR album I have, recorded at Royal Albert Hall in 1970. Is it a great album? Well, it was recorded fair, but the performance is very, very good. It's kind of a rare album. And we know that CCR albums were recorded very well as well.
Another interesting example, Todd, is if you take a look at this Deep Purple album, which is on CD here, this is the full concerts that the Deep Purple Live in Japan, a lot of people say Made in Japan, is one of the best live albums ever. Well, once again, that was not taken from one show. It was taken from 3 concerts in Japan. There were 2 in Osaka and 1 in Tokyo. This interesting looking CD comes with the full 3 shows that comprised what they cherry picked to make that great Deep Purple Live Made in Japan. Oh,
that's great, Larry. Yeah, that must be kind of rare. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah, it's not. You don't see it a lot. You know where I actually bought this? In Dubai, in a Virgin Megastore in the mall there. I forget what it was called. Biggest mall in America. Biggest mall in Dubai, in the world, actually.
Yeah.
And I saw this in there. I'm like, damn, never seen that. That's crazy.
Yeah, good find, Larry. Yeah, nice. Hold on to that one.
Yeah. So what do you think? Do you prefer the polished sound of studio albums or the raw energy of a live album?
Yeah, let us know in the comments below. Also, share your favorite live and studio albums with us. We've gotten great comments from all of you in our previous videos, and keep them coming because we really cherish that, and it keeps us learning more, and it gives us more material for future videos. Now it's time, Lair, for what are we listening to this week? Lair, what you been listening to this week, buddy?
So I've been listening to a live album to keep in the spirit of things. I'm listening to 2 live albums, both by Alvin Lee, and both from the same tour. The first one I bought years and years ago, Alvin Lee In Flight. And this is a terrific touring band that Alvin Lee put together right after he left 10 years after. And somebody dared him to put together a band and go immediately out on tour and blah, blah, blah. He did it. It's a great band he put together, including Mel Collins on saxophone and flutes. And it was so good that they actually released another part of that tour in New York City at the Academy of Music. And the great thing about that is, even though it was the same tour, the cuts, the song selections are not identical, and they're not even close. So there's very little overlap. So you get both of them, which if you're an Alvin Lee fan, you should. And you got really 4 CDs of fantastic live music. Yeah, what about you, Todd? What are you listening to?
Larry, I think you're actually going to be proud of me. Really going out on a limb here. But I will tell you that I absolutely love it. Yes, it's Ben Webster. Been listening to some jazz. This is the Soulville album. It's a 2-album set, 1983 audiophile pressing on the Verve label. And I will tell you, I love it. All right, Lara, for today's final thoughts, this is the segment we added in our last video, and we're probably going to keep because I really enjoy it. It's the last thing in the video. Again, I know a lot of people don't watch all the way to the end, but for those who do, we've got a kind of a special little, a fun game with you. We're going to do a tiered list of the live albums that we discussed today and just kind of rank them as we go through. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, Lair, and then let's take a couple minutes to rank our albums. All right, Lair, this is something I came up with. I've seen it on other videos and people doing it in the past. This is a tiered ranking list, S through E, S being like number one or superior, the top tier, and then A, B, C, D, E being poor, and then everything else just kind of following thereafter. So all of the albums that we had in the show tonight are here, and maybe we'll start with you, Lair. Pick an album and tell me where you think it belongs.
Sure. I think I'll start with Linda Ronstadt because I know you're not going to pick that at all.
No.
So I'll take Linda, and I'm going to put her in the A tier for excellent.
Okay.
I'm not going to put it up at the highest tier, but I know she's not everybody's cup of tea. But like I said before, give it a listen before you put that album down or her. She's on top of her game right there.
All right. So obviously I'm going to pick Frampton Comes Alive, and I'm unfortunately probably, I don't know if you feel this way. Well, we'll discuss it. I'm putting that in the superior because it's kind of unbeatable. I'm
going to go with Foghat Live, and I am also going to put that into the A tier. Like I said before, out of every Foghat album, I believe this is them at the peak of their powers. I think it's their best album. And like I mentioned to you earlier, Todd, the only negative that I can say about that album is it only has 6 cuts. They should have released a double album.
Yeah, and it is good. I have it on an LP, an OG copy, and it is fantastic. You know, I would want to make one comment, though, Lair. The last record store day, that Foghat Live that they released, that they found those tapes, it's by far it's just freaking fantastic. And it's one of the best record store day live, uncovered tapes I've found yet. Well, I'm going to go down here and pick The Song Remains the Same. Now, look, do I think it's poor? No. It's Led Zeppelin, and it was recorded well with Eddie Kramer, and it was mixed. It was all very quality done. I'm just going to call that average.
All right. I'm going to go in a similar vein with the Eagles Live, and I'm going to go C tier. If you're a casual Eagles fan, you're going to love this album because it sounds exactly the way you want them to sound. If you want to hear the Eagles raw, live and nasty, this ain't it.
I'm going to go with Jimi Hendrix Band of Gypsies. Now, I'm not going to put it all the way up here. I mean, look, is it excellent? It is excellent, right? Is it average? Well, no, it's not average either. I mean, this is a tough one. I'm going to have to go on the A tier with A Band of Gypsies. The story behind it, the way that the album sounds, there is no studio recordings. This was all done kind of ad hoc, as Jimi Hendrix was so good at doing. So I think that performance is fantastic, and I love all the musicians on it. So
sure. I'm going to go with Kiss Live, Kiss Alive, and I will put that in the same category as the Eagles Live. Okay. If once again, this is kind of a niche thing, you either like Kiss or you don't. If you like Kiss, you'll probably like this album. If you don't like Kiss, it's a bunch of noise. And I'm kind of somewhere in the between. I'm not in the Kiss army, but I do get a kick out of some of their music. So
I'm going to pick Rush, obviously. It's not superior. It's great. It's great. There are some superior live albums, later in their career. And I'm talking, within the last decade that are fantastic. But would I put Rush in the superior category, and Exit Stage Left? Not necessarily. Is the recording wonderful? It is. Are the performances wonderful? Of course they are. They're Rush.
Sure.
But I don't think it really sits up there with that, total high trophy like Frampton Comes Alive.
I'm going to take the Government Mule, and I'm going to say that belongs in the A category.
Okay.
If you like Government Mule, you'll say agreed, and it should be an S. If you don't know who Government Mule is, get a listen, and you're going to say, yes, it belongs in the A category.
Perfect. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and since Jackson Browne Running on Empty, one of my favorite albums as a kid.
Mhm.
I'm going to put that in the B category, Lair.
Mhm.
I think it is a great album. I love the concept of, recording it on the tour bus and,
Mhm.
recording in a hotel room and all that stuff. The
Sure.
sound quality in some cases is fair. You can actually hear the diesel engines of the tour bus in one of their songs as they're driving down the road and recording. So it's neat. I think the concept's neat. But what I say, it's, a glistening, pure live performance. No, I think it kind of is a B for me.
Let's go with Dire Straits' Alchemy.
Okay.
And I'm going to put that up in the A category. That is, to me, Dire Straits is one of the bands that if you had a chance to see them live, good for you. If you didn't, they have a tribute band that is made up all of former members of Dire Straits, and they tour to this day. They're still out on tour with Mel Collins. And Alchemy is one of the best live albums they've ever put out. Well, actually, it's the best live album they've ever put out.
I'm going to go with In the Court of the Crimson King, and I'm actually going to put that in the superior category.
Mhm.
I have the CDs, and you gifted those to me. It's phenomenal. The
Yes.
recording is phenomenal. The musicianship is spot on perfection. It goes into superior for me.
Very good. I agree. Why don't we go with the Grateful Dead Dick's Picks?
Okay.
And I'm going to put that in the C category. And the reason I do that is because there's so many volumes available in the Dick's Picks that they range all over the place, from fantastic to good to average to below average. So I would put it at C.
And I'm going to go with Made in Japan. And I am going to, floating it up here. It looks like The Price is Right. It's up in here somewhere. It's probably right there.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's where it belongs. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a fantastic album.
Let's go with the Electric Light Orchestra, which is a band I love. Oh boy, I tell you, it kills me to say this.
Boy.
I'm gonna have to put this album in the E.
Really?
Yeah.
D or
This
E?
was not good. Now, I will say a couple of their other live albums I'd put up in C.
Yeah.
They had two of them that were released in the same year from different tours. One was the Spaceship Tour, and one was a couple tours before that. And they were decent. They were very, very decent. I'd put them B and C. But this I'd have to, I just won't listen to it.
I'm going to go here with the Allman Brothers. This is a fantastic performance.
Yep.
I don't know if it's an A performance, but I will definitely say that it is a B. It's very good, but not excellent. What do you think, Lair?
I think it's excellent.
Okay.
And this may be one of those things where, once again, not everybody, the Allman Brothers aren't for everybody.
Right.
And there's people that love them and there's people that like them. And then there's people, it's just not their cup of tea. And I'll be honest with you, it's not like I live and die with the Allman Brothers sound. But I think it's better than that. But that's fine. I'm good with it being in the B tier.
Okay. All right.
Let's see. I will also put another album right in the B tier, the Jay Giles Band. And I'm a fan of the Jay Giles Band. I like both their live and some of their studio, not all of it, some of their studio. But once they get live in front of an audience, it's like they turn into possessed men playing, and I like it. I like it.
I like it. All right. Well, look, I think this is going to be very simple. This is the, what is this, Yoko Ono Band here? I'm just going to say E. Bad news.
She broke my speaker.
Yeah, she took the
She
Jensen's
broke my
out.
car speaker.
Yeah, the two-way Jensen's broke.
Oh my God. All right. Cannonball Adderley, put him right up into the A category. There's a few artists that you just can't go wrong with. They didn't put out any bad albums. B.B. King is one of them. Cannonball Adderley is another.
I will go with, and I have this album. I actually have a couple copies of this. Little Feat, a fantastic album. If you like Little Feat, you'll like this album. I'm even thinking about putting this in the A category. It's a very highly sought after album, and it and the sound quality and performance is spot on.
Europe 72, Grateful Dead. I would put that smack. I'm going to say it's between C and the B. Let's put it in the B, and we can even out the numbers in B and C. Once again, this is a kind of a niche thing. If you like the Dead, you're going to love this album. If you don't like the Dead, you're going to think it's a bunch of crappy noise.
What do you think of? Is there anything you think we need to shift around, Laird? I'm going to put Electric Light Orchestra in D.
Okay.
Look, we know that there was a lot of odd things that happened. There was a lot of infighting within the band. But was it terrible? No. But Yoko Ono, that's freaking terrible.
Don't move her.
No, you can right move where
her,
she belongs.
You can move her left and right, but not up
but not up and down.
That's right.
All right, Lara. I think that was a lot of fun.
Well, that's all for today. Thanks for joining us on Golden Image Music.
And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest content.
And it's like we always say, our neighbors also listen to great music.
Whether they like it or not. Until next time, see ya.